Section 7 of the Golden Web by Phillips OPPENHEIM. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Book 1, Chapter 7. Love or Interest. Deane found his little party drinking their coffee in the Palm Lounge. Lady Olive greeted him with upraised eyebrows. "My dear Stirling," she exclaimed, "have you been telephoning to the other end of the world?" "I'm so sorry," he answered, taking the vacant chair by her side. "I came away from the office feeling that I had forgotten something, and it took me quite a long time to straighten things out. Tell me, what are you all going to do this afternoon?" "We're going down to Ranelagh," said Lady Olive. "There is some tennis, and Dicky is playing polo in the regimental finals. Don't you think that you could take an hour off or so and come down with us? You really look as though you needed some fresh air." Deane shook his head. "Nothing in the world," he declared, "is more impossible. I have an appointment in the city at 3:30 and another at 4. After that I have at least 100 letters to dictate." "I am beginning to discover," Lady Olive remarked, with an air of resignation, "that there are disadvantages in being engaged to a city man." Deane smiled. "Let us hope," said he, "that after you are married you will still regard the situation in the same light. Your friend Julia, for instance, declares that she would never have married anyone who was not kept away from home at regular intervals." Lady Olive leaned a little toward him. After all, he had been very nice. The Elstrees had found him delightful, and there was no man in the lounge so half good looking. She decided to say something charming. "Julia," she whispered, "was never in love with her husband, even before she married him." "And you?" Deane murmured. She laughed at him and looked away, but he was suddenly insistent, taking her hand and forcing her to turn again toward him. "Tell me," he said quietly, "do you really care for me, Olive? Oh, I know you care enough to justify you in marrying me, but I mean something different. I mean, do you really care in the great fashion, you know, like the people one reads of, Ilsut and Amy Robsart and those?" She looked at him as though he were speaking some foreign language. The earnestness in his face was unmistakable. She answered him with a perplexed little frown upon her forehead. "Ah, I wonder," she murmured. "What a very strange question to ask me, Stirling, just now. Frankly, I don't know. I can only tell you that there is no other man. You are quite alone." The others were all discussing some subject of kindred interest. Deane felt curiously prompted to continue his questioning. His engagement had been such a very matter-of-fact affair. To a certain extent it was understood that he was marrying for position, and she for wealth, and yet in all their conversations they had discreetly concealed the fact. They had told each other that they cared, if not with passion, at least in the most approved manner. There had been no suggestion in their many tete-a-tetes that they were about to embark upon a marriage of convenience. "Tell me," Deane persisted, "if things should go wrong with me, or if you had met me simply as a struggler with my feet upon the early rungs of the ladder, tell me, could you have cared for me then, do you think?" She looked at him curiously. There was something in his face which compelled the truth. "I do not know," she said. "Let me think." "Think by all means," he continued. "Remember that I was introduced to you even as one of the youngest millionaires. Forgive me if I seem egotistical, but I have a fancy to put things plainly. There is a glamour about wealth. I came to you with that glamour about my name. I am rich, of course, and wealth means power. How much of your affection, Olive, came out to the man, and how much to the millionaire?" "You want me to give you a perfectly honest answer?" she asked. "Absolutely," he assured her. "Don't be afraid of hurting my vanity. I want nothing but the truth." "At first, then," she told him, "nothing to the man and everything to the millionaire. This afternoon," she continued, "I rather fancy that the man has the larger share. You are quite a fascinating person, Stirling, when you choose to make yourself agreeable." "You can't accuse me," he remarked, "of making any special efforts in that direction to day." "No," she answered. "You were rather quiet, but still you were yourself. Personally, I am beginning to find something very attractive about a silent man. You speak quite often enough, and what you say is to the point. It seems always to be the pronouncement of the man who knows. You have what Julia calls an air of reserved strength about you, which I fancy that my sex finds a little attractive. Tell me, why all this questioning?" Deane looked away, through the cluster of palms into the little smoking room from which he had issued a few minutes before. "Even the houses," he said, "which according to the injunctions of the Scripture are built upon a rock, are liable to destruction by earthquakes. So even the strongest of us in the city have always the 100th chance of working in the world against us. The most amazing collapses have taken place. I was really wondering what would happen, how greatly it would affect you, if my riches were to vanish into thin air." "What an unpractical person you are this afternoon," she murmured, looking at him curiously. "Suppose I were to sit here and worry about the fit of the dress which Madame Oliver is sending me home this afternoon for the ball to night. I could make myself miserable in 5 minutes without the shadow of a reason." "Madame Oliver," he declared, "would deserve bankruptcy if she failed to fit a figure like yours." Lady Olive laughed. "Really," she said, "you are becoming quite a courtier." "Dear people," Julia Ram murmured, leaning over, "if we may bring you back to the mundane world, everybody else is dying to start for Ranelagh." Lady Olive made a little grimace and rose to her feet at once. "Stirling and I have only been boring one another because you all seem so occupied," she declared. "Ranelagh, by all means. It's quite time we made a move." They made their way toward the Pall Mall entrance of the restaurant. Lady Olive fell back once more with Deane. "It's such a nuisance about this wretched dinner tonight," she said. "I think it was very bad taste indeed of the Duchess to ask us without you. You won't forget to come in and see me for half an hour before we go to the ball? I shall be in my room at 11 o'clock punctually, and I will arrange so that I can take you on to Amberley House." He bowed. "I shall be with you." "Where are you dining?" she asked. "At the club, most likely. I never dine out on Wednesdays if I can help it. We are always so busy. I shall have a quiet, comfortable evening." "Au revoir, then," she said, stepping into one of the 2 automobiles which were waiting. Deane made his adieux to the rest of the party and watched them drive off. Then he called a hansom. "Messrs. Hardaway and Sons, Bedford Row," he told the man. "Drive as quickly as you can." Section 7